This is going to be a tour of some of the colleges in Cambridge University near the town centre. Its premise is that these buildings were erected by different fragments of the English ruling class over the centuries. This is the 800th anniversary of the foundation of Cambridge in 1209. And Cambridge provides a kind of living archaeology of the history of the ruling structures of this country. We're going to start with Christ College, which is the college behind me. It's run-of-the-mill, middle-ranking kind of college, nothing particularly special about it. But in the course of visiting about 8 or so of these colleges, we're going to discover some of the variety that accounts for their continuing existence here. This is your starter for 10. In this court there is the college chapel and the college dining room. Which part of this court do you think is which? The fact is, the thing that looks like a chapel is the dining room, and the chapel is hidden away in the corner there. Perhaps this reflects the sensibilities of a Protestant fellowship who didn't want to celebrate their religious worship in a more ostentatious way, but were quite happy to celebrate eating in a way that looks like it's a religious function. Well, you know, every college has 2 holy places. One is the chapel for religious worship, but more important, and especially in the Middle Ages when they were founded, was the dining room, because the monks like to eat. And this is Christ's dining room. It's quite small, but it's also rather suitable for eating fine food, which the dons always made sure they had. The figures that we saw in the chapel of founders belongs to the late 17th century, to the period after the Glorious Revolution, when William of Orange re-established the Protestant monarchy. There's something about this place that speaks to me of the security that the class that founded this college felt. It's a peaceful and quite sparse, but as I said, rather sure of itself. And this is more or less in the middle of Cambridge's history at the end of the 17th century. This is Emmanuel College, which was founded at much the same time, but in a very different spirit. The architecture is rather misleading, since it's quite elaborate and 18th century in style, but it was founded by radical Puritan clerics, priests and religious leaders in the time of the English Civil War, And there's a time when English Protestantism was under threat from Catholic monarchy throughout Europe and even within Britain itself. So when we go into the chapel, this is the chapel, which is the most elaborate building in this first court, whereas the dining room behind us is less elaborate than in Christ. What its meaning is, I'm not so sure. But I think when we go into the chapel at Emmanuel College, we'll see something rather less comfortable than the post-restoration of Protestant monarchy that one finds in Christ College. What we have here is a bunch of religious leaders from the 17th century, some of them quite famous for different reasons. Over here, John Fisher and Thomas Cranmer, who were leading figures in the 17th century church. On the right, we find St. Augustine and St. Anselm. So this is speaking to the Catholic origins of the English Protestant Church. Also in this window we have the youngest figure there by a long way. Everybody else is old, but there's a young man there whose name is John Harvard, who, amongst other things, founded a college of his name. So this belongs to roughly the same period as Christ, and in many ways it's a bit more elaborate, but it's more explicit in explaining its roots in the victory of Protestantism during the 17th century.